So, I mean, we've always been inspired, or I've always been inspired by the ecology that's around us. And as you know, Seaton is no different really to Zululami, but it's got its uniqueness in terms of its connection to the ocean. So one of its primary ecological drivers is that dune edge with the coastal forest, the actual dune, and then back of dune, which becomes a grassland biome. There's remnants of some coastal forest, and all of that's really inspired me to just kind of weave that ecology in and out through the valleys, onto the roads, and even into what people do in their own personal homes. Now that we're active in the project and we've actually got landscape contractors appointed, the rehabilitation has started. And as you know, it's a slow process, but we've got defined areas and we've got a macro plan that we're working to, where we talk about coastal forest regeneration areas. We're working in the wetlands. We are improving the grassland by putting more diversity into, with more species coming in. And the dune is also getting work on it, mostly from a point of view of alien removal, because there's constant alien removal that takes place. So again, we've mostly gone indigenous, but we also have encouraged people to bring in tropical things, because the courtyards are protected. You can use big leaf stuff if you want a more lush aesthetic. Because we're dealing with salt air, there's a lot of the species list that is focused on that coastal dune and from the coastal dune, because that salt tolerance is important. If you've bought on the edge, you want plants that are going to grow rather than recoil from the environment that they're in. And interestingly, I probably would like fusion cuisine. I'd call our landscape is a bit of a fusion landscape, in the sense that you'll see we've brought proper dune plants right up into the estate. I think the other thing that makes Seaton interesting is that you arrive at Seaton and you start taking the meandering main road, and you kind of know the ocean's there, but there's a pivotal point where you take that turning and you have this expansive ocean in front of you. And the idea was that we left behind the seriousness of the grassland and the coastal forest and all that stuff, and started to weave in the dune, and we've mixed it. So, I mean, it's not a puristic landscape, it's definitely fusion. And hopefully people start seeing that as it matures.
I think it really primarily starts for where you're most happy. I was always most happy being in the wild or on the beach, fishing or bird watching, as long as I can remember as a kid. And we were lucky enough to grow up in areas and go on holiday in areas which enhanced that and made me feel better about myself when I was in those areas. And when we used to come to Belita, for example, the roads were all dirt roads in those days. So immediately Belita was wild for us. And exploring the beaches there and the bush was kind of going far away in those days. Sadly, it's not like that today, and that's what we hope to create for the future generations here at Seaton. Well, our philosophy is one of rehabilitation. So from a business model point of view, if we started early, we realized that from a sales perspective, people would see things happening early. So there's a twofold thing. One, you're getting the land and the landscape ready for development, but you're also making it happen early. So when people come on site, they can see that this is work in progress, not just an idea. So that obviously has an impact on the bottom line, because you're spending the money early and you're carrying the cost of that. But in our case, we thought it would be worth it. And our philosophy was that we had to do it to prove what we are doing. So the waterways have been rehabilitated. Tens of thousands of trees have been planted, all indigenous and endemic to the area. So we're creating forests way before we can actually start development. We're not developing houses and roads and then putting trees in to block it up. It's the other way around. So together with our landscape architects, and Bernice has been phenomenal in that we are determining where things get built, not the other way around. Also, the most rewarding part has been the public. The public's response to what we've been doing has been remarkable, because not many developments do it first, and people see a massive difference before they've bought. And after they've bought, they go, well, this is lovely, and then they actually buy into it, and then they come and enjoy it. So we've had lots of people on Sundays coming and enjoying it. I don't think wouldn't do that if they didn't feel that it was improving and being part of the nature and the wildness of it, actually. So because of the processes and the rezoning and the different splumas and environmental things that we had to go through, it meant that the land could be enhanced for 3 to 5 years before we started building. So it gave us a costly advantage, if I can call it that, to be what we are now. So from a financial perspective, it has been expensive carrying land, for sure. But what we've got now is a real gem, because the land has progressed to a stage where now you haven't got a mature estate, but you've got a very maturing estate rather than starting from scratch.
Another very important and significant thing that we're trying to do at Seaton is to protect endangered species of any type, not only endemic or to the north coast or to the Seaton area in particular, but for example, we've got some pondo palms that we rescued from down the Transkei, and we've planted them at Seaton. So no matter what plant species they are, as long as they fit in with what our horticulturists agree with, we endeavour to protect as many species that are being threatened at the moment, even down to the local strelitzia, which has been stripped of all the seeds.